Hey all, welcome to Parker's Reefs. In today's episode, I thought I'd give you a quick vlog update on how my Dream Reef Tank's going, including some cyclings updates, some chiller updates, some UV updates, and a few other bits and pieces. So let's get into it. Alright guys, here we are. Thank you for joining me. On today's episode, I'll cover all those things mentioned in the intro, and one of the first things I want to touch on is getting the flow of this Shadow V2 overflow down to a nice, barely audible level, and currently having a Biz A200 running at 50% through it, which is not on boost mode, so we're probably talking around about 6,500 to 7,000 litres per hour flowing through the overflow, and it's dead silent. So I thought I'd take you over, you can have a look at it, or have a listen to it, I guess, and let me know what you think. So let's switch over there now. All right, so here is the tank at the moment, and I did mention that we have been cycling some of the media and stuff in there at the moment, and you can start to see a little bit of life forming on the base here where the sand is pushed away. We've also got a couple of marks on the glass itself. Just starting to show a little bit of an ugly phase. Some of the sand's even getting a little bit brown, a little bit diatomy there, which is a good sign. We want these ugly stages to happen. Now, I'll just crack open the hood so we can have a bit of a look there. All right, you see those beautiful Bloom servo drive hinges are working there. Magic. And I do have my temporary light frame up there, very, very close to receiving the Philips Coral Care LED units, which I'll run up here in connection or combination with the Orfec light bars. I have 4 of those Orfec OR3 light bars. Just got 2 up there now to add a bit of blue spectrum, and I've got a spare old Red Sea twin T5 light just to give a little bit of light in the tank, just to help things go through their ugly phase, try to get that algae sort of happening and out of the way. Now, I did mention that I've got the Shadow overflow, which you can barely see there, as quiet as it's ever going to be. And I say that it's quiet as it's ever going to be, as I can see myself on the reflection there, with about 6,500 to 7,000 litres an hour flowing through it. I have my Abiz pump at the moment. The Abiz A200 is running at 50% without boost mode on, which is about 6,500 to 7,000 litres an hour. There is a little bit of restriction from the plumbing, but it's actually not too bad. And you can see a huge amount of flow. In fact, quite a lot of flow coming through the sump at the moment. And most of the noise you can hear is actually from the returns just rippling the surface there. And in fact, if you look from the bottom up, you can see quite a bit of surface disruption there. And this is a fair bit more flow than I actually intend on running on the Shadow V2 overflow. I found that the best way to get it quiet was to lower the height of the main siphon down really, really low. In fact, I lowered that as far as I could. Had about a finger's gap worth of room from the elbow to the base of the floor, so it's very, very low. Whereas the secondary overflow is a fair bit higher. It created the water height in the overflow to be much higher, and also gave enough variance between the two to allow them to function as desired. So, as mentioned, I've got pop down into here. This is the main Abiz, and we're currently running at 50% with boost mode off, and we're nice and quiet. And you can also tell that my filter roller is operational and pulling out a fair bit of gunk from the sand and some of the cycled media we've put into the tank so far. In fact, it's doing a great job. It's pulling out some pretty nasty stuff at the moment, which is also good. The Cove skimmer is obviously operational, and I've got it set to be a very wet skim at the moment, mainly because there's not that much bio load in the tank, obviously, and I just wanted to pull out as much stuff as possible, including a little bit of mechanical stuff. So I've got it running nice and high. We'll lift up the lid there. You can see that it's mostly full of funk from the sand and a little bit of bio media, I guess. So I've got it running nice and wet so I can pull out as much stuff as possible. Now, I did mention about cycling, and we've got a couple of things over here. I'm running a few different things to cycle this tank. It's been one of the questions I've been asked the most about since I've announced that I was going to run this tank. Everyone wanted to know what I'm going to do to cycle it, whether I go an artificial cycle, a natural cycle, whether I'm using live rock, artificial rock, you name it. Now, I'm a big fan of things like this to go a little bit of an each way bet and try to cover your bases as much as possible. So the first thing that I've ran is this Reef Revolution range, their ProCycle A and B. This is basically ammonia. Well, I say basically, it is ammonia. And this is some nitrifying bacteria, which, let me tell you, when you crack the lid on this and you tip it in, it smells horrid. It smells like a rotten egg. That is anaerobic bacteria at its best. It should smell like that. It does smell like that, and it tells you that it's absolutely potent stuff. Now, I tipped a whole bottle of this in to kick the cycle off, and then I've just been dosing through a little temporary Kamoa X1 doser, a few mil a day, just to keep it kicking along, because I am trying to go for a fairly long and continued cycle. So that's where things started off. I also added, because this is what will run this tank long term, a whole heap of GAE media in there. I'm just trying to get the camera in there so you can see. 3 tubs full. It comes in at about 18 kilos worth of those ceramic media balls in there. And they're all sitting nicely in there, ready to seed. Now, they were what I would call virginal media. They were dry, they had absolutely no bacteria in them whatsoever. So to help kick things along there, I added in a whole heap of Aquaforest Life biofill. This is, whilst it doesn't look like a lot, these are a couple of large containers I picked up from our local $2 store. And you can even see a couple of the stones even floating in there. That is 12 litres, 11 or 12 litres worth of life biofilm. Now, the idea of that is that is a media in itself. It's kind of like almost like a zeostone type of makeup. However, it does come pre-loaded with quality bacteria. So the media actually comes sealed in a container. It's wet when you take it out. It already has beneficial bacteria on it. So my concept was add all this in before our virginal media, let the bacteria translate and repopulate over here, and then add in our ammonia source through the Reef Revolution ProCycle, and also the ProCycle B has the ammonia, ProCycle A has our bacterias. Now, to help keep things going along, and again to just cover my bases in as many ways as possible, I am also adding daily Reef Revolution Pro Bio Blast and also Aquaforest Bio S. Those two will just keep the bacteria supplemented in there, and I am also ghost feeding and adding a little bit more Reef Revolution ProCycle B ammonia each time. Now, I did slightly underdose on the ammonia. It does say that you should dose, I believe this was, let's have a look, 2 drops per 100 litres. I didn't dose that much. I actually dosed half that much. So I did 1 drop per 100 litres, and I measured that out in millilitres rather than drops, just to be as accurate as possible. Via the tests I've done, that brought my ammonia up to about 0.5, 0.75. I like to keep well below the 2 ppm mark, which is where the ammonia starts to kill off the bacteria. So I made sure I kept the ammonia dosing well below that level. But then I've been ghost feeding as well as also ghost dosing a little drop or 2 here and there of ammonia, just to keep the food source up for that bacteria that I'm continually adding. Now, this is all happening because I obviously don't have any rock in the tank at the moment, but I do have the sand and I do have a whole heap of media. So there's absolutely nothing stopping me from getting a cycle started in there. And so far, so good. You can also see a little bottle of Zero back down here. This is an old bottle. I'm not sure how effective it is, but it was some bacteria I had in the house. And I figured, again, on that theme of covering all bases, why not add some more bacteria? So that's been pretty much the cycle so far. I'm not too far off adding rock. All right, now continuing that each way bet and covering as many bases as possible to cycle this tank, there are a couple of other things that I've done. Now, if we pop on over into this side of the cabinet, you can see a little Bashi reactor here full of MaxSpect media. This media has been running on my large frag tank, which is where my fish currently are, for the last 2 years. So I consider it to be well seeded media. I've plumbed that in. So it's just tapped off one of my manifolds and then comes back into the inlet. So we've got a good flow of water going through there. That will help bring a lot of bacteria from a running tank into this tank. And then also just to, again, create a little bit more diversity and cover some more bases. What I've also been doing is when I take water out of some of my other reef tanks, I've been putting them into this reef tank, almost like I don't know, a reefing enema, just to bring in some of all of the bacterias and organisms and all of that life from those tanks. Whilst it's water coming out of there, it's quite clean. I make sure there's no algae or pests or anything like that. It's just water that's slightly higher in a little bit of a nutrient, which is perfect in a system like this. We just bring in as much of that goodness as we can, keep things ticking along. Rock. When we look into the cabinet, you can see there's been a little bit of work here as well, in that the two Abyss controllers are now mounted. The Aquabee controller for the skimmer is now mounted. I'm also running a temperature controller because I obviously want to keep the salt water at around 25 degrees, which is where the bacteria is going to be happy. And I have also started, if we come over into the side cabinet here, started doing a little bit of cable management. I picked up these slotted PVC ducting trays, which allow you to poke cables in through the sides here, and then it has a cover that goes over it, which will lock all the cables in there, and that lines up with the holes through the side of this cabinet, which allow me to poke cables in and out of here. I can mount the power boards in right next to there. Obviously haven't done up the top yet, but you can see the 2 rows that I have done, and they're looking pretty tidy. So that's off to a good start. Close that up. I have more of that cabling, if we slotted ducting. Here's what it looks like. That's the cover that then clips over the top. I've got more of that because I want to run one of those along the whole back wall of the cabinet, along here, which will allow me to hide things like this horrible nest of cables. I'll be able to hide them all into that slotted ducting. All right, one other thing I wanted to show you guys was that little box hiding out there, and there's my big boy wanting to come inside. We'll let him in and we'll check out the box out here. This is where my chiller and UV is going to be mounted. You can see it's about 90% completed now. We've got to finish scalloping out the lid here so that it fits in tight up against that drain pipe there. But I'll lift up the lid. You can see I'll have my chiller. That's the chiller line in and out. It's also my RO lines in and out, and my UV will fit in here as well. Plus, hopefully, a little bit of other storage. See how we go. We are hoping to this little chamber here at the end to use that. I'll section that off and replace this dog kennel here, which will win me some brownie points, because for a change, the reef tank will be making things look tidier rather than messier. You can see that little cutout there, which makes it fit in nice and tight around that drain pipe. We just have to finish that off on the lid, and obviously finish off some of the dressing on top of it. But it's coming along well, which will keep all of the heat, noise, and mess, whatnot, of a chiller out here away from the lounge room. A couple other things I wanted to show you at the moment. I'm currently just testing out a couple of MP60s. Got one on the back wall there, another on the back wall over there, just while the Tunzi Stream 3s are getting incorporated into the rockscape for this tank. I'll put up a couple of sneak previews of that. It's looking really, really good. Keen to see. I'll get my hands on that this weekend, so hopefully I'll be able to have a little bit of a play with it and get you some more information. But the Vortex are doing an absolutely beautiful job. Big MP60s have always impressed me with how much water they move and how quiet they are. I've popped the controller for this one over this side, and the controller for the other one, I'm not sure if we can see from here, probably. I'll pop open the lid so you can have a better look. Controller for the other one is just mounted up on that wall up there. I have them both running through Mobius at the moment, which is pretty cool. It makes it much easier than trying to get in touch with both of the controllers. You can just jump onto the Mobius app and change the settings however you like, which is working really well. Last but not least is our new dining table. You see we've got our dining chairs. We've got a custom-made dining table coming to sit in front of the tank here, ensuring that all 6 members that are joining us for dinner will be able to get a good view of the reef tank, which would be cool, because previously we did have the dining table running sideways, and we had 2 people sitting on this side and 2 people on the other side, only 2 to get a good view of the reef tank, and I don't know. This is the showpiece of our house, so I want everyone to be able to see it, so that will work well. All right, guys, there you have it. Let me know what you think about this vlog style of update. It's not something I usually do, but I wanted to test it out, see what you guys thought. A little bit more casual, a little bit more personal, I guess, just to see where things are at. My cat's going to go see if he's got any more dinner or breakfast out for him. Hopefully in the next couple of episodes, I will have some good updates for you on the lights. As mentioned, I am going to be running the Philips Coral Care lights. I'm so excited to get my hands on these things. The test unit I had was unbelievable. The only thing that left me probably lacking a little bit with them was their blue spectrum. And that's purely an aesthetic thing. We like to run a lot more blues than the corals probably need. So I have got those Orphec light bars, which are going to really punch some blue into the tank when I want it to be really blue, just so I can really get those colors popping as a bit of a show off thing. But realistically, those who know me out there know that I like to run a pretty 18 to 20K color, which used to be considered crazy blue. It's basically considered daylight white now. So the Philips Coral Care are going to do the job probably 85% of the time, and just for that hour or two in the evening when I really want to punch some blues in it, I'll get those Orphecs in there blasting some lights. So those Coral Cares are due in the country any day now. So as soon as they get here, I'm going to build up a light rack to mount up onto my motorized light frame. That'll get those their Orphecs and their Coral Cares up there doing their thing. I should hopefully also have finished that box out there, and I can mount the chiller, mount the UV, and go through the full discussion of things there. I've also got some new temperature controller and some new heaters coming, so I can elevate that game, because at the moment the Eheim Jaegers that I'm running in the tank now are massive. They're only 300 watt heaters, and they're I don't know, half as tall as I am. They're crazy. Been solid units, but they are about 8 years old now, and that's risky. So I'm going to get some new heating equipment in there. And of course, the main event, which will be the rock work, it's coming along. It's looking really, really cool. And as soon as that's ready to go on the tank, you know I'll get some footage to share with you guys, because that's when the tank will really start to come to life. Sand's all good, but obviously rock work really gives you an idea of what the escape's going to look like, coral placement, and how it's all going to work. So all of these things are just around the corner. So as always, guys, if you're not a subscriber as yet, please hit that subscribe button down that corner or that corner somewhere or other. Cost you no money, take 2 seconds of your time, and it'll really help me out in this game. We are just right on the verge now of 10,000 subscribers, which makes me I guess a small to moderate YouTuber, which is pretty cool. This is just a part-time hobby for me. I got a full-time gig, but I love sharing my adventures with the Reef Tank. So I appreciate all you guys joining along the journey and making it as fun as it is. So anyway, enough rambling from me, guys. I will leave it at that. If you have any questions, comments at all, pop it in the comment section down below. If you've enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up. And as always, guys, till next time, stay safe, keep reefing. Cheers, bye.